Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. We are broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network, UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 FM on the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM in New Orleans. We're also broadcasting live on social media, and this show is brought to you by the Experiencer Support Association. I'm your host, Ryan Stacey, and I'm a licensed private investigator. And as the Director of Investigations for the Experiencer Support Association, I use my investigative skills to dive headfirst into the hidden mysteries of UFOs, paranormal activity, consciousness phenomena. Thanks for tuning in. All right. So last week's episode, actually, before I talk, let me see anybody in here. Lisa. Hello, Lisa. Hi. Good to see you. Tessa, thanks for tuning in. Chris, is that you? I think so. Zed's son or Sun Dragon. Hello. Hi, Ryan. Hello. Hello to you. Thanks for tuning in. So last week's episode, we talked about the visual evidence database, how it works, broke down some cases at the end. Today, we're going to be talking about two or more cases, and if there's enough time, I'm going to maybe share another one. I'm not quite sure how much time these cases will go. I might be able to rip through a few of them. I don't know. We'll see. It was hard to label the episodes weekly because with the cases that we're going to get into. So we might do more, might do less. I don't know. Other than that, I think that's it. But before we get into that, I'm going to start with the updates from Tessa. So let's go.
Tessa News and Updates.
All right. So before we get into those cases, just want to let you know that we have a couple new articles on the page that were published today. If you guys didn't see the article from the last hominid from our cryptozoologist, Alex Mistretta, that is also on the site here as well. But today we published Part 5 of MUFON Under Siege, an end to an ongoing cybersecurity battle. So the CMS is up, but there's been some revelations on to how that went down. And this article here, which I'll show you, will explain in detail the emails that I received and the breakdown of what actually happened during the cybersecurity breach. No one is talking about it, but I believe everybody needs to know, because if you do report to MUFON, your information has possibly been compromised. So that's important for you to know. But that's the end of that series, because MUFON its database is open. So hopefully there's no reports of missing information or stolen information. If that is the case, please make a report. Let us know, and we'll look into it for you. Another post that Tessa made today. So that article I wrote myself on the MUFON one, but the one from Tessa is welcoming Susan Dinsmore to the Experiencers Support Association. She is a psychotherapist, and she's going to assist with our Experiencers Anonymous program. So if you guys aren't familiar with what that is, you can check out that article as well on the website, experiencersupport.org. For you guys listening on the radio, if you check that out right now, you'll be able to see those as well. And I think what I'll do is I'll share them in the comments for everybody that's watching live, if you want to bookmark it, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so those are the updates that I have from Tessa today. I am currently working on updating the database to get more points of interest in there. And then I'm going to be tabling the data sets for my 2022 and 2023 surveys. So I'm just going to put the MUFON article in the comments. There it is there. So let me just remove this here. These books that I have here behind me, these are my books. The Canadian Current Event Survey got reporting year 2020 and 2021. So I'm going to be working on 2022 and 2023, but I'm going to change the name. I want to rebrand it so it's more easier to find and whatnot too. So those are declassified documents that I received from the government. And I tell you, what I think they are and what I think they aren't. And we go from there. All right. So let's get into cases. So today's episode, let me see here. Forget what we named this episode. I got to check that out. Let me go here. But anyways, we're just going to go into the database here. So on the website, if you go to experiencersupport.org, go into Visual Evidence Database under the Investigations tab, you will find the map that shows all the cases that we've uploaded so far. We are focusing on aerial activity today, I believe. Yes. So
Aerial activity, sensory display.
all right. So and I think, Chris, if you got a hand or a minute, you want to tell me what the case number is? I should have wrote them down. But I'm pretty sure it's these guys over here. I don't know. Area number 6 and number 11 for sure. And if there's time, well, I guess we'll talk about the rest over here. Pretty sure. Thank you, Chris. I see you in the comments. Perfect. Thank you so much. Zun Dragon says, you were on Lori Lee's show. That's how I learned free show. Awesome. Well, thanks for tuning in. Okay, so we're going to talk about this case here. So with the database, if you're new to it, you click on it, it'll give you a little tease, a little picture, make sure it is the one that you're looking for. You can toggle all those things up there. Check out last week's episode to learn more about how it works. But this, like Google Maps and everything else, you can kind of zoom in and get a good idea of what everything's going on. If you need to turn on your labels, you can. There it is there. Satellite labels, right? Get a good idea of what we're looking at. Customize here. But this is the case that we're going to look at right now. And I'll open that in a new window. So for those of you that are listening to this on radio, head over to the website to see the visual that goes with this. Right now I have have it on screen. There's concentric circles. So this is a recreation of what was explained by the witness, okay, the experiencer. I'll just leave that there for a minute for you guys to look at it. For those listening, you're looking at concentric circles, some of which have their line broken, and the background is blue. So these are white concentric circles, okay? This is called UPR2020-0006. It's categorized as a sensory display, aerial activity, and a machine. All right, for those of you who don't know what the ultraspectrum classification system is, you can find that on the website. That's the system I use when I created. This took place in Dominion, Nova Scotia, Canada on June 12th, 1975. There is a little video for Texas Most Wanted. I am going to play that. I will speak during this video. I'm not quite sure if you guys can hear me. So Chris, since you're there, let me be a pal and let me know if you hear me talk over this video for radio. If you can't hear me and radio, just listen to the music and chill for a minute, and we'll be right back. So it says on June 12th, 1975, Dominion, Nova Scotia, witness saw a flat object move towards them. The object went over top, and it looked like it was drawn perfectly with chalk. It hovered for a few seconds and slipped across the sky with no sound. All right, so I'll just stop the video there. You heard me over the mic? Perfect. The music? Perfect. All right, then I'll keep doing that. The rest of the video does explain the classification system for those who want to continue. You're not missing anything. You'll see a website that says tessacan.org. That was our original website, but that'll bring you back to experiencer support. So don't worry about that. So down here is the information that was extracted from the report that is part of my research when I do the data graphs at the end of the year. Okay, so let's break this down. But first, I'm going to give you the actual witness statement. So this was given to us May 31st, 2020, but the event occurred June 12th, 1975. I lived in a trailer court located along a beach area. A dirt road ran down the center on a summer afternoon. A friend and I were playing and ended up standing on the dirt road alone. I looked up, I have that verbatim so that way I don't correct it. I looked up and saw a series of concentric rings that looked like they were drawn perfectly with white chalk. It hovers among the clouds for a little while and then went in and out of them. It looked like flat drawn lines. I thought it looked like one of our stovetop burners. I didn't know what a UFO was then. Then it left. My friend came running up saying he hadn't been able to find me for 15 minutes, even though I thought I never moved from the road. He said he had checked the road and I wasn't there. All right. So this was put in as aerial activity because this is what we're focusing on that. As for the missing time, that's a different case because it needs to be measured separately. So you may see that. We will talk about that, but you're not going to know that that's linked to this unless I tell you. And there's a way to figure that out without while protecting the identity of the experiencers. So just because it mentions more stuff in these doesn't mean that we haven't investigated those things separately. Okay, and for those of you who want to know how the reporting system works, check out previous episodes where I explain that. Okay. So this is solely focusing on the aerial activity. So again, flat line to the side. This is what it looked like while standing directly underneath it. Okay. It is in my ultraspectrum report. It is an experiencer type report. The number I've already given to you. Experience status is new, so this means the experiencer has reported for the first time to anybody. And that request was to add it to the record. So when its request is added to the record, that means we have to take the information, ask as many questions as we can. Usually they won't respond to any follow-up questions, but we do the best that we can and then update it. Experiencer ID number is right there, number 14. This experiencer was a male. Blood type is unknown. Eye color is unknown. The age of the event. So this person was 4 years old at the age of the event. Okay. Number of witnesses was 1. And the feeling was positive. No injuries. So going back to this one witness thing too, and having this missing time. I don't exactly know the details of the friend not being able to see him, but that gives you some context when you understand how old the person was. 4 years old. Well, maybe the friend was 4 or 5, and you know how kids are. So and I think that came out in one of these investigations. I don't know. It's 2024. I'm looking at this case from 2020. I'm just trying to remember. I have to pull up my notes to get the details. Event date. Yeah, so June 12th. So actually this month, 1975. Report came in May 31st. Time of the event was 1:01 p.m. in American Halifax East Zone time. So that's the time zone. And the event lasted 3 minutes during the day. It was an isolated event. Only one object was seen. And this person has not previously reported to TESA, but did report to MUFON and has indicated that they were not satisfied with their performance. So the reason why we ask that in the survey is because we want to know exactly, it's not, I wouldn't say MUFON is a competitor by any means, but it is an alternative place where people put reports. So it's important to know why you weren't satisfied with MUFON, because as you guys know, I used to be part of MUFON. A lot of the stuff I still do is MUFON oriented and whatnot. Because there are some good things about it, but a lot of people don't understand it. So, depending on the situation, I might be able to help, soften, reestablish some faith into that. Depending on the situation, it might be something out to lunch. Who knows? But we give them the opportunity to share that, so we can make sure that we don't make the same mistake, or we can help clarify the reasons why that may have happened, just in case we come to the same conclusions. Right? It's important to allow space for people to complain, but it's how we use that information as well. It's not mandatory to fill in as well, so that was a choice they made. Evidence is analogical, so that's drawings. Okay, I don't have any physical, so that makes the evidence rating 3. So let's go back to the ultraspectrum here. I should remember what these mean. So the evidence rating was 3. So let's bring this scale up here. Yeah, fair. So level 3 is fair, which indicates a drawing only. Then we classified this as a sensory display. Okay, so one of the 6 senses were used to have this experience. It's categorized as an aerial activity type because it happened in the air, and it's type 1 machine. Simply because it didn't have any characteristics that indicated a light. So it's under the assumption that it was a machine. So we can, where is that here? So sensory display, aerial activity, machine 1, and that's how we got that classification system there. And then the archetype is a UFO. Okay. Disposition is unidentified. I don't know what that is. I haven't seen anything like that. I thought it was interesting. Again, it's a cold case happening, reporting it many years afterwards. The only information I have is the testimony from the experiencer. I have a drawing and it's on there until I'm able to explain it. I don't see any clouds that make that formation, especially with those little, indents that are on there. So it's just sitting there until we see something that matches it. I may remove cases here and then if information is discovered. We classify this as a close experience because this close experience, which puts us at less than more than 100 feet, but less than 500. And evidence level was 2. So then that was trace evidence, which we have analogical, which matches that. And the evidence type is A for analogical. All right, so that's that one. So if you guys see any comments, any questions on that while you guys are there, the stuff that's on the website is just, to give you guys a little bit of proof of some of the stuff that we're working on. The science and the data is always in the annual reports and the book writings, of course, and in my personal notes too, because I'm trying to figure out what all these things have in common. And when I finally get around to publishing that other book, I'll be able to let you know. But I think that's it. There's no questions, and let's move on to the next one. Okay. So what did we say, Chris? 11 is next? Yep, 11 is next. So we'll zoom out a little bit here. Let's see if I can find her. And this one is 11. All right, perfect. So we're going to bring that one up, and we'll take a look at that. Okay, so this one, UPR2020-0011 aerial activity. And this one is a light, classified as light. Okay. Yeah, we have a video for this one. Sighting of bright UAP hovering above trees on September 22nd, 2019. So that was 3 years ago in Noel, Nova Scotia, Canada. Okay. You guys on radio, we're going to play another one of our Tessa Most Wanted videos. So sit back and listen, see what you're missing. September 22nd, 2019 in Noel, Nova Scotia, a witness was scanning the skies with an infrared camera, supposedly looking for anomalies. Screenshot from the original video. When all of a sudden, this object appeared. It hovered in place as its light faded in and out. The object eventually faded away and could not be seen with the naked eye. There were no stars or satellites in the area at the time. Sorry, that went too fast. Right? So, have any of you guys seen that? Seen anything like that? Let me know. Witness statement, February 8th, 2020. At my cabin, 1 mile in the woods, no utilities, extremely isolated and dark. Sat in front of the camp, others in bed, lights out. The nearest barn light is 5 miles away. Could not see the arm stretched out. Scanned sky, 5 to 10 minutes looking at stars. Notice an object panning back to the start. Recorded 3 times. Infrared. IR2, max light setting 2. Videos. Then faded out at IR2. Minute light setting. Went back to the max light, but could not find it. Was not visible by eye, only infrared. So I like to do statement analysis on the witness statement on its own without looking at the thing to try and understand the person and the situation. So obviously this person has done this before. It's common. It seems to be something they do all the time. And they obviously are an engineer in terms of photography to understand and put all that information in there, right? So if you don't know what he's talking about, then you got to do some research and learn from that. Ray, I see a comment from you. Would you say people not using flight radar apps to see if these are just aircraft is a bit odd? I mean, this morning I saw a light zipping across the sky, checked the location of ISS, and turns out it was that. So flight radar, it is available. People can use it, but not everybody knows about it. Not everybody thinks to do that. unfortunate thing with flight radar is unless you pay for the pro or gold version, I believe. I think it's gold. You don't have historical data, so we can't go that far back. So a case like this with historical data would exist if I got it in real time. But the case we did earlier, 1975 that was, there's no historical data available because flight radar didn't exist back then. So it's really, it's kind of hit or miss depending on what's going on. So below are a couple images from stills from the video. I'll play the video in a minute. I thought this was interesting. This is our old branding as well. Inverted test. So here with the negative and positive inverted. Okay. Look at that for a second. All right, and let's play the original video here, and you guys can watch and listen. For you guys in radio, we're looking at an object above the tree line. You can see the tree line in infrared. And some insects or some debris flying by, but this object's clearly hovering. Could be close to the lens, but it might not be. It's hard to tell because we don't have a reference in the background. But it's clearly some sort of light. And I would have double checked to see if anything was in the background during the day. Nothing was there. There's no lamppost. There's nothing that would indicate any of that stuff. So using the tree is a good reference because we can tell whether or not the camera is moving or the object is moving. For the most part, the object is just kind of staying there. The movement is coming from the person with their camera. And yeah, so that's your video there. All right, let's look at the stats and see how much time we got left here. So it was an ultra-spectrum report, an experiential report. This person's already in the survey. His ID is EID 016. His request was to investigate and report. So there's a report on that, which I think I'll include in my UPR book when I write it. It was a male, so this person provided their blood type O negative. Okay, I'm measuring to see, for those who want to provide it, to see if there's any patterns in certain experiences with certain blood types. Eye color wasn't provided. Age at event was 54, so that lends some, so this person's not only has the experience with cameras and understands how to do this and does this on a regular basis. There is a bit of an age there to strengthen the credibility on that. Number of witnesses 1, but that's okay because we have video. Doesn't matter how many witnesses you have as long as you got evidence. He felt positive. That's good. No injuries. That's also good. September 22nd is when that happened in 2019. We got the report in February 2020, so about a year later. So that's not too bad. The information is still available. So I could have used a flight radar on that. I don't know. I have to check actually check the report. Time of event, 9:04 p.m. in Halifax. It lasted 1 minute. And it was at nighttime. It's ongoing. So that means that this experiencer has claimed that he sees these things in the same spot frequently throughout his life, or whenever he does that. Hasn't been able to figure out what it is. I'm not able to figure out what it is at this point because I would check the radar, I would check all the normal things, and I wouldn't see these anomalies there. There's evidence that this object is in frame, but what it could be anything. It could be a light. Don't know. So this person has reported previously, so that gives some credibility for us on the team that we know we know this person well because they've been able to make reports. So whether or not we believe them or not, that's all there, but I wouldn't put the case up here if I didn't think the experiencer was credible. So the evidence type on this one is demonstrative. Let me see here. Yeah, demonstrative because it's a video. And the evidence rating we gave it was 5. And that level 5 is better because it has the original video or original photos with original video. So that's why that was rated out of 5. So that's a good piece of evidence. We can do some work with that. Okay. Sensory display, aerial activity, type 2. Type 2 is a light. Okay. Not a machine. The archetype is a UAP. So I like to use the unidentified aerial phenomenon archetype to identify lights. But these lights could be UFOs, attached to UFOs. We don't know, depending on the information that comes forward. This is a close experience, so that's more than 100 feet, less than 500, and it was an uninvited event, so they weren't doing anything to call this. It was just doing their thing, and it happened. The evidence rating is level 4, and we put that in as material evidence. Okay, that's what level 4. Did I say level 4? Is that what I said? Yeah, I did. I did say level 4. Where at? How many witnesses did this person have? 1. Okay, I'll fix that. So that should actually be a level 3 because it's demonstrative evidence. And level 4 would be demonstrative with more than 1 witness. All right. I made some tweaks to this ultraspectrum system after I published a lot of these things. So that's why I want to go through the old before I get into the new, because there's things that I want to change to make sure the data is accurate. Okay, so so then if we continue, evidence type is A. Yeah, so that's it. So if you guys have an explanation for that, let me know. And it's 5:30, so it looks like we got time for one more. Would you look at that? Bonus round. Maybe we'll get this one down here too. So this one is a beings observed. So that requires a new little jingle here.
Beings observed, intent unknown.
All right. Full disclosure, those little videos are just like segues for me to take a drink. But they help break the ice. So beings observed. Because this channel has sponsors and stuff, and if I don't, we're not sponsored by anything on here. We gotta be mindful of that, in case you guys are wondering. Okay, so this one here is interesting. This is more of the stuff that I like getting into. UFOs drive me crazy because most of it is just lights in the sky with not enough evidence. Who knows, right? But then we get into these things here. So this is from 2019, case number 3, beings observed, classified as a humanoid bipedal. So if you look at the ultraspectrum classification system, we have beings observed in 3rd event category. The type, you have these choices. So humanoid is what we selected for that, and bipedal is number 1 for simply 2 feet, walking on 2 feet. Okay, this happened in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, in October 23rd, 1978. That's in Canada. This video here, the Tesla's Most Wanted video, is Encounter with Men in Black, portal sighting in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, October 23rd, 1972. So let's check that one out. On October 23rd, 1972, in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, the experiencer was woken by his closet door opening in the middle of the night. A large circle of light appeared from inside the closet. That's the original witness drawing recreated. A man dressed in black appeared and encouraged the experiencer to follow him to the other side. Have you seen this before? Let us know. All right. Have you guys seen that before? Let me know in the comments. I know you have, Lisa. I know you have. All right. So the before I read the witness statement, we'll just take. Here's a lot more evidence here that we can look at, and yeah, we should have time for that. So this one's a big one. So, the witness statement from January 28, 2019. As a child, I was sleeping in my room across from my closet. My parents would close the door to my room while I used my room door to block my closet. The closet door opened and there was a portal-type hole. A man in a dark suit appeared to walk out. He told me to come with him for a few minutes. I felt I had no choice, nor did I scream or resist for some reason. I was taken to a base where I heard someone say data mark and a number. I later found out I was that number. I ended up spending 23 years, 4 months in space after my training on various bases. Honestly, I don't think I ever saw the actual sun until we all left the planet Earth. Defense Forces Alaska Base. I went to the moon, then to Mars. I have an impression of Jupiter Station. And seeing the platform in the rings of Saturn. I was told as a child I was a precog, and that was why I was picked up. I spent some time out in Galaxy Cygnus 5 for a while. I returned to my home at almost the exact time and date when they took me after I did my 20 and home. Some people did not come home for various reasons. I learned how to drive off-world vehicles on the moon. I have had dreams of places in combat that makes little sense to me. So before we get into that, again, I'll emphasize that a lot of stuff is going on. We would get the experiencer to make different reports on the different things that have happened, especially the precog. We want to measure that separate. This particular case is referring to the being that was observed because there's a visual there that I can use as a reference because we want to know what they look like to see if other people have seen similar things. So to fact check something like this is challenging because the secret space program is a thing that people say exists and there's evidence supporting the idea, but then we got to get into what space is. For those of you on the flat earth spectrum, space does not exist. And therefore, the moon can't be landed on. So you really got to it's really a tricky thing to say did happen or didn't happen. But the thing is with the experiencer is that there's enough information going on to at least determine that this person believes that this event has happened. And then there's nothing you can say to really explain that away. It could be a dream. It could be a memory, a false memory. It could be hypnosis. It could be drug-induced vision of some sort. It could be all kinds of things. But the thing is that the mind, this is where we get into the psychogenics, where the mind can see these things. So we really don't know if it's a dream state or a fourth or fifth dimensional experience. And that's why I created the ultra-spectrum classification system to separate that and bring it all together to give a little bit of credibility and the possibility that this person may have seen something that was real in a different space and time. Did they actually leave physically? Maybe mentally. Remote viewing exists. There's a lot of things there. So, before you write this person out to lunch, let's just kind of like, my explanation how some of these things matter and don't matter at the same time, depending on what you're looking at. As far as evidence goes, we have a drawing. He's seen it. This is a portal. This is a reference that I can use to compare. And I have seen other people draw similar things since this. This may be the first time you're seeing it. But I've seen this before by other people as well. For you on radio, you're missing the original drawing here. There's a second drawing here with more information. For those of you on radio, there's a tunnel, person bent over with another person aiming a gun in the opposite direction. And I'll just read the text. It says, honestly, this seems particularly hard for some reason. It was like a burning fire fight. Once it started, we got what I call prisoners. I want to say human from form of enemy. The shaft was like like our own vent shaft. There was only a few of us soldier types, 4 or 5, remember. Sorry, I'm having a hard time reading the writing. I went down, my leg gone, then I woke up. The enemy was closing on us, and it would overwhelm us. They had to survive before all things. To stop the wave and bullets seemed useless. I dropped an explosive, got fast, and went down. So this is one of the events that have taken place during the quote-unquote secret space mission that he had done. This was interesting because he had visualized this explosive. I know he mentioned, I remember him saying that he lost a limb and he felt it. It was so real, but he knew it was a memory. So we were trying to figure out whether or not it was like a past life or if it was a dream or some hypnosis state. So that this requires, this one's a little bit more complex. There are other cases in the system that elaborate more on that. This here is an emblem that he saw, like a badge. So having visuals is good, and drawings is good. I mean, I prefer drawings sometimes over pictures because it's really hard to capture a picture. But what I'm looking for is patterns, right? If anybody else in the secret space station spectrum or believes they're part of that has encountered a similar thing, then I need to have a report from you so we can compare that. Okay. So this is a shoulder or corporation badge patch, spiral galaxy. The whole thing too was rigorous shades of black, purple. The galaxy was white. The pupils and eyes kind of gold, fleck bronze color. It was to signify the precog saw, knew everything, man, and think we looked a lot cooler than this. The eye was similar to an Egyptian Ra type lining. The galaxy was in the front with the eyes behind and maybe even a little up. It was like they shone through. All right. So without, like, just looking at this to try to give credibility, there's enough time and effort that was put in by this experiencer to think, yeah, maybe they're making it up. Maybe they're getting attention, but they know that they're not being identified. They're not getting famous off of it. You don't know who they are. I know who they are. We're doing a video about it. They're aware of that. So there's really no reason for them to fabricate a story because we're not writing books about it. We're not producing movies. We're not doing any of that other stuff. So I appreciate that when people do that, that maybe they are getting attention. Maybe they just want someone to talk to you. But these things become interesting when other people draw the similar things. And one day I might get a picture that looks like something that we have, and then we just can compare that. Okay. This particular person, we also went through regression and audio analysis for the mind stuff, the psychogenics. So this is a transcript of the 25-minute regression session. So I'm going to read that out for those that are listening because the radio can't see it. I got timestamps, so I'll just make a mark here. Witness is asked to think of a happy time at the age of 30. His response to what he sees is a universe. Witness is asked to think of a happy time at the age of 20. His response to what he sees looks like a zoo. Witness is asked if he is with anyone, and the response I heard was Valerie. Witness is asked what he was wearing, and he replies, pants and shoes. Valerie is wearing shorts and a top. It is daytime. Witness is asked to think of a happy time of the age of 15. His response to what he sees is playing cards. Witness is asked to go back to a time when he was little and first experienced something unusual. His first reply was, it's weird. It's like a crib and a light. When asked where the light may be coming from, his reply was the wall. When asked about the light, he says, it's like somebody there. I can't see really. Witness says, why is this hurting? When asked what was hurting, he replied, my leg. When I asked to focus on the pain, he replied, it's like he's touching above my knee inside the leg, and he just stops and goes. When asked what the hands look like, he replied, black, like a glove or something. Energy is male. When asked how his body feels, he replies, heavier. When asked how the being left, he replied, back to the light. The light just closes. Witnesses goes back to sleep. Witness is asked to move forward in time to the next experience. When asked what he was seeing, he replied, closet door opens their back. When asked how many were there, he replied, just one. When asked if this was the same being as before, he replied, similar. Hi, how are you? Can be heard, and the witness is uncomfortable with it, quote unquote, entering the room. The witness then hears time to go. When asked what happens next, he says, I travel through the light. It's a portal door. When asked where the portal led, the response was base. When asked where the base may be located, and the response was, I'm unsure, I think Camp Hero. When asked where he is and who he is with, the response, it's just me, I'm in a room. I hear like a mark, time mark. I'm taken out the door, down a corridor by somebody. When asked what kind of being this somebody was, the response was a girl, a woman, I think. When asked if the woman was a human, the response was yes, she's taking me to a room with beds. I'm told this is going to be my new home for a while. This is not making me happy. You know why you're going, you know why you're picked, quote unquote. When asked why he was picked, the response was because I can see things. Quote, they're not just picking people who can see things, they're picking people. Everybody's different, end quote. When asked if anyone else was in the room with him, the response was, quote, 6 people make it through the night, quote, end quote. When asked how old he was at the time, the response was, quote, 13, I think, end quote. When asked what happens in the morning, the response is, quote, we are all given uniforms, quote, end quote. When asked what the uniforms look like, the response was, quote, like a deep royal blue, black, end quote. When asked if there were any girls there, the response was, quote, no, they don't care about the girls. They put the boys together, end quote. Quote again, it's whoever suits the purpose, end quote. Another quote, you're there to task, there to train, end quote. When asked what he was tasked to do that day, the response was, and quote, orientation. Quote, it's kind of like in a routine, give some needles and you get fed an examination, end quote. So that's the end of the regression. So as a piece of evidence stacked on top of things, we got enough things going on to make this peculiar and interesting to add to the database. So many things going on. Does the space program exist? Is this in a past life, a future life? All these other things. All these things are possible. And it's really hard to discern whether or not these things took place when so many people talk about them and share these experiences. But working with this experience, I know they believe this happened, and there's not much I can really do. But it's interesting enough and odd enough to share on the site because maybe I'm going to find something that has a similar experience. Okay. Any questions? All right, there we go. So the way that, let's see here. Zen Dragon said, yes, this is a lot. I felt like time travel at some points. Okay, so you're having a similar experience. So if you want to make a report, we can compare. Once it's all done, we can compare that to this one as well. But do yourself a favor. Don't answer them honestly. Showing you this stuff, it opens up the door for people to be like, oh, I saw that too. But I don't want you copying. I want you guys to see what you actually see. I can call bullshit. Almost swore on radio. I can call bull crap when I see it. All right. So not every case that I get ends up on the website. There's a filtering process of that. So if it's a waste of time, please do not. If you want to waste my time, please do not report. But if you're serious about it and you need some help and you want to add it to the database and just please support my work. Okay, so the report category. So this is in the ultra spectrum. It's an experiential report. It's 2019-003. It's a new report. We were asked to add it to the record. The ID number is what? Okay. The male is the sex. Blood type unknown. Eye color is hazel. Age at event was 11. Number of witnesses was 1. Positive feeling. Injuries, yes. And those injuries were the damage to the leg. What did Zun said? He said, don't want to make a report, just commenting while you're reading. That's fine. You do not have to make a report whenever you're comfortable, whenever you're ready. If that's not something you need, that's fine. Even if you know what it is and you don't want an explanation, adding that data to the system will help me learn more about you and learn more about how all these things are connected. So it is helpful, even if you don't need an answer. Okay, just something to think about. The event date was 1978, October 23rd, 11:30 p.m. in Halifax. 1 minute duration. It was a night isolated event. Has been previously reported. No analogical. Evidence rating is 3 because it's a drawing. Beings observed. Humanoid is categorized as type 1 because it's bipedal. And the archetype is a men in black. Right, in this case, could be women in black because he identified it as a female, but we commonly call it the men in black. But it could be good. It could be women too. Nothing says that it can't be. Unidentified is the disposition because I can't provide an explanation for it, and that doesn't mean somebody else can't, and that's just the way that it is. It's an extreme close experience. So if we look at that with the being observed, an extreme close experience, it's just less than 100 feet because it's in its bedroom. Okay. Uninvited, so didn't ask for it. Evidence is level 3. Material. So there was some physical. So we have demonstrative and documentary evidence, and that's from the from physical evidence. We have copies of that, but we also have the audio for the regression hypnotherapy. And that's it. That's the end of that case. Now, how much time we got? We got 8 minutes. You guys have any questions? Lisa says, yes, some are female. Some men in black are female. Yes, I would agree. I wouldn't want to dismiss it as a possibility. This one here, just so we can get off of Nova Scotia for next week. Maybe move a little bit more east. Let's see if we can finish this one. So this one is Shag Harbor. Yeah, this one won't take. This is Shag Harbor. So this is a declassified document that I received from Canada. It was published October 11th, 1967. And here's the original document. And here's it transcribed. So I got a few minutes left. Let me read it. So UFO report, Lower Woods Harbor, Nova Scotia. An RCMP corporal and 6 other witnesses observed what they believed to be an unidentified flying object off the southwest coast of Nova Scotia, Canada on the 4th of October, 1967. The object was described as approximately 60 feet in length and was flying in an easterly direction when first sighted. During their observation, the UFO descended rapidly to the surface and made a bright splash as it struck the water. For some time after the impact, a single white light remained on the surface. The RCMP corporal endeavored to reach the floating white object, but unfortunately, before he could reach the location, the object sank. A search of the area failed to produce any material evidence which could assist in explaining or establishing the identity of the object. An underwater search conducted by divers from the Department of National Defense also failed to locate any tangible evidence which could be used to arrive at an explainable conclusion. Okay, so that was retrieved from the Library and Archives Canada. I retrieved it myself on behalf of the Experiencer Support Association. Organizations that were mentioned in that was the Department of National Defense, Royal Canadian Mounted Police, Places Canada, Nova Scotia, Shag Harbor, and the objects mentioned as aerial activity and unidentified flying objects. So the declassified documents, they look a little different because of the matrix in which we put those in for declassified documents. So if you go to the documented event timeline, that's a weird ad. Okay, so 1967 is the year we're looking for. Let me see here. I'm going to go down to 1967 on the timeline. So 1967, let's see here. So there's that document there from Shag Harbor. So when you click on it, it's going to bring that document up. So that's what I was trying to explain, is that when we measure in proximity, it's good to see that how all these things may be in common, but there's different times, right? So this one was 2019. This one was 1978. This one here was 75. So those ones are close in years, but you're seeing it close in proximity. And a lot of people look at these maps and think, oh my God, a lot of these things happen in this area. Yes, but over time. So we need to understand what's happening over time as well. So then you can come over to the timeline and look, 1967, what else was going on? Well, the month before, there was this aerial activity in the UK, and we talked about that last episode in real time. So it's a good thing I'm remembering these things from previous episodes. Sorry, not sponsored. So we covered this case last week. So for those of you guys who remember these visuals. So now we start to see a little same data, but in a different way. Okay. There's patterns. Okay. A lot of these cases on their own may not have enough information. It's not the smoking gun, but if you take every case at face value and you extract what you can that's important, you'll be able to establish a pattern. Okay, every case is done this way, which is why I'm behind, because I take my time with everything, and I'm not going to solve the world's problems. I just want to help every experiencer one person at a time. But I can't do this if you don't report. Okay. So then within the same month, we got radiation hazards at Falcon Beach. So you guys remember that event? So Falcon Beach happened in Manitoba. And then a month later, we have something going on in Shag Harbor. A lot of people talk about those events separately, because, let's do the Shag Harbor event in Nova Scotia and let's celebrate the Falcon Lake one. But did you realize that they were only a month apart? Probably not, right? So when we get over to Manitoba, we'll see that. So within that same year of 67, we got lots of stuff going on in 67 by the looks of it. How much time? I got a few minutes here. Lots of stuff going on in 67. So then you can kind of put some pieces together, and maybe that has something to do with it. If we look at the experiencer case as well, so let's say the being observed, which was 1978. So let's go to 1978. Click that on the side here. So right now we only have, that's the only thing that happened in 1978. Few years before that. So as we have more data, this will start to film out. You start to see the patterns. Okay. And I think that's as far as I'm going to go today. And then next week, Chris and I will talk about what cases are next. We'll probably just continue our path towards the west from the east. Let me see here. We did cover all of Nova Scotia. There's nothing in New Brunswick. And that's because no one has reported anything that I haven't been able to solve. If I solve it, it doesn't go on here. There's no point. So probably moving into Ontario next, and we can start here in this big plot around Ottawa. And take those labels off. This is where I like to switch this stuff around a little bit. But it can get a little messy if I were to take some of these things off, but we'll figure that out. All right, kids, it's time to go. Let me see here. Tomorrow night is Beyond the Tinfoil Hat with Danny Whitson. Okay, he starts at 6 p.m. Eastern time. And if I have a Patreon, if you guys want to join me, it's patreon.com/heattheworld. And you can support the show. You can support all the things, all the research and whatnot. There's a private chat and all those things there for you. And let me see any comments. Great show and informative. Love the maps and timelines. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Hopefully we'll see you next week. Hi, Lisa. Bye, Chris. Bye, Ray. And one more thing before you go, make a report to Tessa if you need it. And thank you all for tuning in for this episode of The Skeptical Sleuth. We're broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network, UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 FM on the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM in New Orleans. We're also broadcasting live on social media. And the show is brought to you by the Experiential Support Association. Remember, one lie is enough to question all truths. Thanks for watching. Keep your eyes in the sky. And as always, eat the world. See you next week.
If you want to really, really find out about Ryan, ask him about all his work and UFOs in Ontario.
Ryan is one of Canada's leading new UFO investigators. He conducts and oversees UFO investigations on a constant basis. He's compiled a tremendous amount of data regarding UFOs in Canada.
I have used his research extensively. He's much more than a one-dimensional character. He's an authority on UFOs and investigating them, Meg.
Wow!
Really goes over how UFO investigations are done and what are some of the mistakes that people make when they submit evidence. For starters, don't edit your videos or photos before you send them.
He would come out with an annual report on not only the number of sightings, but how many were unexplained, unknown, or just, nothing could be said. What caused
If you
it?
want to hear more follow-up conversation between Ryan and myself, you can go to richarddolanmembers.com, where we have a candid conversation on ufology, the paranormal, and more. And remember, while we learn and grow and search for the truth, let's be good to each other.